the members of the men's chorale to come close to this bench. Members of the men's chorale to come close to this bench around here. I had been informed that somebody had misplaced a phone. If you know that you are missing a phone, I don't know what kind of phone it is, but if you are missing a phone, see Brother Taylor, Deacon Taylor. Okay, I see around there. Let's see, Brother Wainwright. You know you are part of this chorale, so come forward. I need you around here. I know that you're trying to hide down there. We want you over here. Do we have somebody in the audio already? Oh yeah, my brother in the audio is already there. He will take care of us. Good, very good. Give me the mics to these guys. Give the mics to these guys. There are three that are on, just passing by. Amen. Amen. Leslie, come around here. You're gonna join me. Let's start singing. Get my course behind me. All right, you know, while we get together, we're going to, with the congregation, I think we can praise the Lord. So let's sing Marching to Zion. Marching to Zion 422. Marching to Zion. Amen. Come we that love the Lord, and let our joy be known. Join in a song with sweet accord. Join in a song with sweet accord, and thus surround the throne, and thus surround the throne. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to Zion, the beautiful city of God. Let those refuse to sing who never knew our God, but children of the heavenly King, but children of the heavenly King, may speak their joys abroad, may speak their joys abroad. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching outward to Zion, the beautiful city of God. The hill of Zion yields 1,000 sacred sweets. Before we reach the heavenly fields, before we reach the heavenly fields, or walk the golden streets, or walk the golden streets. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching outward to Zion, that beautiful city of God. The hills of Zion hill, 1,000 sacred sweets. Before we reach the heavenly fields, before we reach the heavenly fields, or walk the golden streets, or walk the golden streets. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching outward to Zion, the beautiful city of God. Amen, amen. All right, I'm going to explain to you what is going to take place in here in a few minutes. In a few minutes, you see we have some chairs around here. We're going to have a panel. We're going to have a panel, and I'm going to ask you, if you are part of the panel, if you're part of the youth that is going to be in this panel, come back here and take your seats. We have my friend here, Rodney Brazil, and we have Jean Alexander is coming around here. We have Brandon McIntyre. All right, Jordan, and my sister, Yara, and I think I missed two more. And then in this side around here, we also have some youth that is going to be around here. Youth that, Willie Alberry. I see Willie Alberry around there, okay? It's coming this way. And then we have Sister Bukar, who's going to be with us here. And we have Sister Coleman. All right, we are asking to take your place, because in a few, we're going to start with a panel that we're going to discuss today is the top 10 issues facing young men of color today. Facing men of color. We have chairs for you here, okay? Yeah, well, you can stay there, because you're going to sing with the main chorale in just a minute, okay? It's just a minute. But before we pass into that, we have main chorale around here, and we're going to sing a couple of songs, more than a couple of songs for you today. Amen? So, without further ado, the men's chorale of D.O.Z. Amen? Amen? All right, my brothers, let's assemble right here. By the way, uniform don't count, all right? If you're in chorale, you know you can sing. Come around here, my brothers, okay? And I know that you're talking to my brother. You want to sing with us? Come here, my brother.
I don't even have my phone, so I can...
What it counts is your heart, right? For Jesus. Amen? Amen. All right.
What is it?
Okay. We're going to enter into...
Why do we sing it?
We're going to sing a couple of songs.
What?
Yeah, more than a couple of songs.
You can put your words up so we can see them?
I give you this. Because I'm going to be directed, so I cannot sing.
You gotta pick songs you know.
Yeah. Leaning on the ever 469. Leaning on the ever. Willie. I need bass.
Hallelujah.
Bass. You're doing bass? You're doing second tenor. No, bass. Okay.
Well, yeah, what we do is because it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This?
Leaning on the everlasting arms, leaning, make the path grow from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arm. Leaning, just leaning, safe and secure from all that wrong. Leaning, just leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, just leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning, just leaning, leaning on the everlasting
Him in the garden.
Yeah, well, how you get to the next one? I don't know, he has his head. 487. In the garden.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I stay in the garden
One.
Isang belasino.
You know my labors and trail around. You know my labors.
I've been haven't sung this in a while.
When all my labors and trials are o'er, and I am safe on that beautiful shore, just to be near the dear Lord I adore, will through the ages be glory for me. Oh, that will be glory for me, glory for me, glory for me. When by His grace I shall look on His face, that will be glory, be glory for me. When by the gift of His infinite grace I am accorded in heaven a place, just to be there and to look on His face, will through the ages be glory for me. Oh, that will be glory for me, glory for me, glory for me. When by His grace I shall look on His face, that will be glory, be glory for me.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Amen. 10 issues facing young men of color today. Do I have the rest of my panelists coming in, please? 10 issues facing young men of color today. I think you will enter for this side, sister. It's better for you. Can you help my sister to go up, please? I have been doing the searching, and all over the internet, all over the media, you will find issues that a lot of people say that is affecting our youth today. But we want to hear from our youth in our church. So I took a couple of those issues and I put it here in this PowerPoint. And I just want to know if this is really an issue in our youth, in our church today. We have assembled a team of youth from our church and also a team of members of our church that can give some advice to our youth when they are in serious trouble. So now, let's start this panel. The way that we're going to conduct this panel, you see you have some mics in front of you. I need you guys give you the mics to my panelists around here. So youth, you're going to be talking first, and then you will hear some advice. Now, if somebody in the audience want to say something, then you come to the front and wait to be acknowledged, and then you can take the mic. 10 issues facing young men of color today. First, I think I have to be around here to be able to work with this. Okay. All right, somebody upstairs, can you give me this first? It's not working. No, it's not working. No, you have to go into the... Okay. It changed in my screens, but it didn't change in the main screen. Yeah, there you go. Single parent households. Single parent households. He said that since the 1950, the number of single parent households has significantly increased. Today, 14 million single parent homes are, it says there that you have 28 million children from single parent homes. Is that an issue in our church today? Question. Who want to start? My brother, any one of you can start. Just take the mic, talk at the mic.
What was the question?
Take it in your mouth. If this is an issue that affects our youth today,
I believe so. The reason why is because I believe that
just talk to the mic.
in a single house, in a single parent's house, you know, kids tend to often want a lot of stuff, and I believe if they somehow don't get that stuff, they probably feel like their parents might not love them, or you know, they might go out and seek affection, or they might go out and maybe commit a crime just to get what they want if the parent can't afford to give them what they need.
Okay, sister, I say your name is Yara. Okay, how can a single parent will affect you or anybody in the church? Take the mic.
Because you won't have the guidance of both parents, so maybe if you only have one parent, you won't have that balance in the house, and they really won't know what is not normal for you.
And my question would be, had you seen a behavior of, maybe not here in church, but you know, we don't live in the church all the time, down there in the community, in our school, wherever we go, how you see the people that, or the young guys that have only one pattern behaving? Did they behave different?
I don't know, because
Okay.
I see them, how they act, but I don't know if they really have one parent or not.
Okay. Brandon, do you want to say something in this question? Oh, Jordan, sorry. I say Brandon, sorry. Jordan.
I think that if a child only has one parent, then they won't have like they won't gain that certain character trait that they would get from the other parent. So it would affect their behavior in different ways.
So how will these children or these young men or women have to compensate for that?
They would have to do like things that they were not raised or normally would do normally.
Okay, all right. Would you have anything from my senior, okay, sister?
It's a tough one, considering that our African American family started out on a low totem pole from the very beginning, historically.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The children that I work with today, a lot of them come from single parent homes, but you can't always blame it on the fact that it's just single parent homes.
Okay.
Because as we have been counseled, that the mother is the first teacher in the homes. However, what I find with the combination of this issue and the behavior of our children is that parents have become friends. They're compensating because so-and-so is not here, and you know, so to keep that friendship, relationship, they tend to overcompensate. When they come out into public, and that is not reinforced in the public, it's when our behavior becomes an issue for those students. I deal with it every day. And sometimes I can be nice about it. And then there are times I will have to say, I'm not mom. I have found too that where I'm working now, the students that are there, I found that there are a few fathers, but those fathers are taking charge. Let me just say, but moms, we are still babying. Discipline becomes an issue because they want what they want because they get it at home.
Amen. Now, if you see the statistic that I show here in the screen, you see that 72.3% of unwed births are coming from black, non-Hispanic, young men and women. Okay? So, you see that there is a disparity here. You compare with the white non-Hispanic, 28.6%, while if you have the Hispanic, 52.5%, and the black non-Hispanic, 72.3%. Do you want to say something about it, Willie?
Yes. Just speaking in terms of to the chart itself.
By the way, these statistics come from the Center of Disease Control, up to 2008.
Right. One of the misnomers, of course, and the statistics that we're looking at are factual, but one of the misnomers, of course, is that what is not being said is that within the communities of color, particularly within the black community, they tend to keep babies. And I'm not being offensive or anything, but because of just the nurturing and the way that we've been raised, abortion has always been frowned upon within the community. But now, if we had a side-by-side comparison that would sort of really show the numbers as it relates to persons who have abortions, and the racial breakdown of that, then we would look at this in trueness that, well, we begin to understand why these statistics are this way, because one race of people are actually keeping the babies, where another race may not be doing so, and the percentage, of course, would then be sort of, so that it's a little skewed in that when you compare, if you had a chart to compare one versus the other. But these numbers are factual, and that's something we have to do something about within our community, because they are factual.
Any other comment? Comment to, please wait until we acknowledge, pass by here so I can give you the mic. Okay? Let's go. Do anybody have a cordless mic around there? Okay, hold on. Here, take this one.
What I would like to hear from the young people is, I think it's difficult for young people to necessarily process this part of the conversation, but do you see a difference for those young people that you know? Do you see a difference between those who come from single-parent households and those that come from a two-parent household? Can you distinguish a difference as young people, or does it look all the same to you?
Only if you know the person.
Yeah, because it's only going to matter if you know the person. If you don't know them, it's not going to make a difference. But can you see a difference between those kids that come from single-parent households and those that come from two-parent households?
Now, the question was directed to the young people, so we need somebody to answer. Rodney, do you want to start? And the answer could be, I don't know.
I don't mind. I don't really think you can really tell a difference between, kids that have two parents or kids that have one parent, because I believe it's based on the kid if they want to learn, the disciplines that their parents give them, because some kids will have a father figure and a mother figure, and they might be disciplined, like their parents might pass down morals to them and try to teach them, but they might not want to take that in, so you won't really notice.
Brother Henry, you want to say something more?
Well, I was just going to say that you really can't tell, because then you have kids who come from two-parent homes who have a nice house, nice cars, and they want to live the street life. So it all depends on the person itself and what they want to accomplish in life.
Okay, all right. My brother, question.
Having worked with children for about 30 years, I'm adding my 2 cents. One of the issues that you're talking about, single-parent home issues that are faced by children. And I like to start with the younger ages. That's where it's really developed. Some of the young children I've worked with over the years who come from single-parent households where there is not a strong influence or no influence of a father. When they come to school and there is a male teacher involved in their instruction and discipline, they will express to you, I wish you were my father, I want a father figure in my life. So there is a difference.
Amen. Here. Yes, we're going to have opportunity, but let's go into the next issue. The next, somebody upstairs, please pass me. Fast forward. Next one. Drugs and alcohol. Today, about 21% of high school students admit drug use, and 41% report drinking alcohol. Now, from those percentage, you see that here the Hispano and Latino population have 15.2, the white have 16.1, and the African American actually say the statistic that are 10.6. How can you explain these reports? Jordan, do you want to start? You don't know, okay? My brother, have you seen it? Have you seen the young guys in school drinking around? Okay? We have seen it, all right? Or not exactly in premises, but we know them, all right? So is this an issue affecting our young guys today? Yes or no? We go there. Can you acknowledge this is an issue affecting the young man of color today? I don't hear you. Talk to the mic. Remember, I think we are transmitting this on the air, so please talk to the mic.
Slightly.
Say again?
I said slightly. I could see affection.
Okay, slightly. All right. And anybody else? Henry?
Yeah, I agree with him slightly. I mean, alcohol is really not like a big thing that affects the youth. Only thing really is marijuana. That's in high school, basically.
All right. Now let's hear a word from other panels around here. Who wants to start? Sorry. My brother. You want to say something about it? Jean Alexander. Go ahead.
I mean, I think some of the stuff has to do with like culturally. So, I mean, I can see where certain people are partying more in certain cultures. So that could be a number like 16.1%. That's like, okay, parents are letting you drink at a young age and different things. So a lot of kids are raised with different like ways. So I can see that. That's not a bad number though for the African American. I mean, to be honest, 10% compared to the others, that's really not that bad. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm just being.
You were surprised, huh? You were surprised by the percentage. I think my brother Rodney want to say something.
Yeah, I agree with him about where he's coming from. Some of this has to do with culture, like, you know, for the white race, with partying. Yeah, it's a well-known thing for, you know, a lot of white kids in high school. And I also believe it's an environmental issue, you know. It's an environmental issue, you know, like peer pressure. It's based on the environment you're around. You know, certain kids are, you know, being peered or are being pressured into, you know, doing stuff that they don't want to, you know, or some kids, they just want to feel cool or feel accepted into a certain group.
Willie.
One of the things that I'm sure, while it doesn't say this, I'm sure that this takes into account socioeconomic factors as well. That being said, when you talk about availability and possibilities, it's going to have the numbers reflect this. Just generally speaking, because of the availability of income necessary or resources necessary to go about purchasing, you'll find that the numbers are going to be a little bit different because the socioeconomic factors bear that out. Specifically, for instance, like one of our youth said, well, alcohol within the communities of color, particularly the Black American community or Black community, isn't that big of a deal because they see alcohol as sort of tabooish still. It's still not an acceptable thing within minority cultures. In terms of just events and all of that, but just social drinking, you don't see that. But you do see, unfortunately, while the 10%, we would love to see this 0% everywhere, the 10% is still alarming in that what it reflects now. If that number, if you could drill down, you probably see in terms of just the 10%, will probably be marijuana use. Because unfortunately, our kids don't see anything wrong with it nowadays. It's becoming more accepted. Politicians now are lobbying to make it legal. And one of the things, of course, and our youth have a concept about keep it real. You know, I'm just being real, you know, and part of being real is that if indeed I want to alter my state of being for a moment, then I just do it. And if they ask me something, I'll just tell them, but don't put my name on it, you know, but it's reflected in these demographics if we could drill down, that 10% would probably be 9% if they were asked specifically about marijuana use.
Well, that's a very interesting answer, but, you know, keeping it real, and let me ask to the audience around here, okay? Because many of you probably live around the corner that you can see people that actually are engaging in activities that you can classify this type. If this something that we should be worried about, is this something affected our youth today? Can you talk to me about it? I have a hand over there.
Okay. One of the panelists pointed out that sometimes it has a lot to do with culture. For example, when I taught school in Jamaica, I've had elementary students whose parents send them to the store to buy alcohol, and it started right there. And when they drink, they will give them a drink also. It might be beer, perhaps nothing as strong as rum or the stronger drinks. However, they gave them. I have had students who came to school and fell asleep in my classroom. And when I asked them what is going on, they said they had some beer last night. Their parents gave them beer. Some parents also sent them to the store, perhaps not marijuana, but cigarettes, and they actually give the kids the cigarette to actually light the cigarettes, and they would take a puff and pass it on. I remember one day I went to the back of the school, and the grade 7 and 8 students were there drinking and smoking marijuana. So sometimes it goes back to the influence of the parent, but it makes a difference when you grow up with a Christian family.
Amen. And that's a very good point. See, we are living like in a bubble, thanks to God, that is protecting us from everything that is going outside. But once you step out of that bubble, as my sister said, you will see so many things outside that definitely will affect our youth, and it's affecting our youth today. She brought a different face of this problem. I have her hands over there. We have a different face of this problem that is what she just mentioned of not necessarily young guys that are doing drugs or alcohol, but are living with parents that are doing drugs or alcohol, and how this is affecting this young population. My sister have a hand over here, somebody? Okay.
I just wanted to say, I was trying to catch up from the last slide, but I was noticing the 73% increase in unwed mothers or single mothers among the black race, and then I saw the 10% number, the drastically lower for drug and alcohol use amongst black people. And I was saying there's a lot of different factors that drive that number up for the single mothers. We have to consider the incarceration levels amongst black people and consider the other factors, and as it ties into drug use for the for that 10%, you got to consider how many of those who actually raised themselves, who didn't have that role model, those parents in the home. And the reason why that still is not as high as it could be, because the morals in the black community, even though we tend to see our pregnancies throughout, we also teach our children different values and beliefs. We don't perpetuate drug use. We don't believe in alcohol, and a lot of us don't. And we also try to incorporate God in our lives from a very young age. So I think there's a lot of different factors that are being left out that kind of mislead these numbers, in my opinion.
Okay, and remember, these are just issues, okay? And we know that it's not only one issue. Now, we are going to take back, because one of those issues that my sister mentioned is here, and we're going to mention, which is in terms of incarceration and the difference or inequality in our justice system. But let's stay in subject here about, can you bring me back again to the slide? Please, thank you. Drugs and alcohol.
I think the question is, do we see this affecting our children, our homes, and especially our single parent homes within our church? When you look at the statistics, and I don't know where they took, what group of people this survey, but as it's been stated, alcohol is not so much the problem affecting our children in the church as it is the marijuana. And what is happening is, whether they're raised in a single parent home or a two-parent home, because society around our children is saying it's okay, it's the thing to do, yes, it does affect our children. And if we sit with our head in the sand and think it isn't, you're only fooling yourselves. Because our teenagers are exposed to it, they're persuaded by it, and yes, it is affecting our black young men.
Correct. And let's not forget, alcohol is a drug, even is considered legal, and so is marijuana, even if it's going to be considered legal.
Mr. Moderator, just as the mic is going to the next person, and I thought that Shannon was going to say, there is a direct correlation between these numbers that we're looking at and income, because generally speaking, when you look at the previous screen, when we're talking 72%.
Yes, Willie, we're going to go into that point in a minute, so let's advance to the next one, because you will see it's interconnected. Can you pass me to the next slide, please? Violence in school. The comment says, school play a major role in the young person's life foundation. It is reasonable to expect that these places should be safe. Unfortunately, school can become war zones. In the last decade, 284 kids were murdered due to school violence. Can you comment on this? Now, bear in mind, thank you. Bear in mind this statistic. This here in boys and this in girls. Here it says that students receiving out of school suspension by race, ethnicity, and gender, the black Black American is this block, is the 20%, is the majority of those that are receiving out of school suspension. What this mean, out of school suspension, and how this is affecting our young men of color. I see Sister Bukar. I know you can jump into that. And Sister Coleman, I see you can talk about that too. Go ahead, my sister.
Let me just say that at the beginning of school this year, we got a report from the state. And it reflected the discipline referrals that were being out throughout the schools. A lot of them, yes, they are males. Absolutely, they are. However, this year we see an incline where I am of females being suspended. This, I don't know what year this data came from, but there's going to be somewhat of a drastic drop pretty soon, because now teachers are not interested in writing referrals because it makes the numbers for the schools go up, which is reported to the state.
Sister, since you're going there, sister, can you please correlate this statistic to behavior in school?
It is.
Okay.
Let's split it in half.
Okay.
It's behavior in school. Let me talk about where I am. It's behavior in school, yes. A lot of it comes from the neighborhood into schools.
Okay.
There have been times when things have happened with the parent and the child on the way to school, and if you don't say something just right, then they go down the teacher's throat or the next friend, and then they escalate. I don't know, I'm not going to say it's drug or alcohol related. It could very well be, but it's the community and it's the households that represents our classrooms. So I'm going to say that this number is probably correct, as close as it can be, based on the data that we get now from our schools. So all of the schools who got their message about their discipline this year, when you pull this possibly next year, it probably will have dropped.
Okay.
They use in-school suspension, they use mentors, and a lot of our children don't have mental problems. They are angry. So they need someone to just listen and talk to them.
Amen. Listen, but you have heard Sister Bukar about the issue. What can you comment about this issue? Is it something that is affecting your generation today? Jordan? You was knowing the head? Can you comment?
Yeah, that number's about right. I would say that like the violence in school, it's like more, it happens more because of what happens like behind.
Question, have you seen it? Have you seen people taken out of the school because of whatever problem?
Yes, I've seen it because it's like, it'll happen because, for example, it could happen over a female, like girls, for example. One guy trying to take another person's girl, and that can start violence and a whole commotion.
Okay.
So it happens to everybody, as you can see. But I don't know.
That's all right. You have seen it. Okay, so it's something that is affecting because you can be witness of it, sister.
Sis just mentioned something, and I want to clarify it. The question that was posed to me about the blacks. Our black boys are more often than not to be suspended because they have white teachers who can't deal with, talk them down, calm them down, or whatever. So that was a good point. A lot of our black boys, we don't have very many private schools, so our students are going to the other private schools or the other high schools. The difference with that is those black teachers, we know how to the best of our ability, because sometimes I say to them, it's like, look, you and I can work it out, or we can have the principal. And then say, well, you don't understand, this is what's going on. So that in correlation to her question is because of who's administering that discipline referral.
Correct. And it's going to come later on, but let's hear Sister German. You had a comment or the...
No, that was really going to be my point, because it's who the children are sitting under, and as we see even in today's society, a black person is more apt to be imprisoned, sent to jail for the same crime that other people do, and they will go to jail, or there can be sentenced before the same crime that someone else does. And also I wanted to say is that when we're talking about a two-parent home, I've seen children in a two-parent home act just as good or bad as people that just have one parent in the home. We have to also remember, too, that you can teach your children all you want to teach them. You can chastise them at home and do whatever. We have to also remember that Adam and Eve had two children that sat at their feet. They couldn't have had better parents, and one grew up and slew the other.
Amen. I want you to advance to the next transparency, please. It's going to be connected to this. Next transparency. Next slide.
Transparency.
Oh, I work it here. Okay, here it is. This is what had been mentioning, Sister Bucar and my sister here. Yes, I had been trying to find out the reason for why there is so much violence and so much problem with, and the percentage going into the raising up into the black and Hispanic population. Now, if you see this here in the left-hand side. Okay, so you will see here you have a figure. This is the white one goes into the those selected school, high selected school, while the black and Latino population, they don't have too much access of it. Actually 13% only or 9% in the black. They have to go into the open access school. How can that be a factor in what you was arguing, my brother Willie?
Well, just real quick, one of the things, and this sort of ties into the other slide as well, is that when you have a situation where you walk into a disadvantage, and our black kids do, and I'll defer to Sister Bucardi in a second. One of the things when I used to monitor schools, I would take a look at the IEPs, and it was amazing that you could read an IEP and you can already say, oh, this is a black child. Yes. You can read it, oh, this is a white child. Yeah. And so when you have that, and teachers are looking at it, and they already have this document and a file that says this child is prone to this kind of behavior, this child needs this kind of mental therapy and so forth, you judge them and you treat them based upon what's documented in a file. And so we start at a disadvantage in public schools.
Okay. You going to say something? In the documents that I have been reading, it says that it's not only the having accessibility to this very select school, but that the population that we're talking about, they don't have access to counselors, they don't have access to cultural, how I say, they help me with this, somebody that can teach them that is actually according to their culture. Okay. Yeah, or culturally sensible teachers, okay? And they have to be, like Sister Bucar was saying, they end up with teachers that they don't even understand their culture, or they don't even care about that particular culture, and then creates a problem to them and goes into the next slide that is around here. This is a figure in terms of those that really have access to the college education. This is the College Board from 2010, and give you a graphic here. You see the Asian American have the higher score, while you see the black, only the 20 or the 28% go to the first year of college. They're not talking about the dropouts. They're talking only about the first year that they enter into the first year of college. Can you explain this inequality? If this is something affecting you today, how many of you have applied already for college or are about to apply for college? Okay? If you're about to apply for college, you need to be aware that there is already an inequality. What are you going to do about it? Talk to the mic, please.
We have to work harder.
Okay, if that is something that is going to help the youth of your generation.
Because the prerequisites for these schools, they're high. It's not, they're high standard requisites. They ask, beyond than what most kids can achieve.
What they're asking?
They're asking, for perfection, basically, almost like, Ivy League scores.
So what you think that if they're asking for perfection, what you think the Asian American can get there, but not the black or the Hispanic?
It's the culture. Because like for Asians, if you don't become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, you shame the dynasty. That's how their culture breeds them. So there's a huge difference. Same thing with the whites. My great-grandfather was a lawyer, so it's an expectation. Going to college is nothing. A lot of us are the first people in our families to go to college. You know, you're talking about in like the millennials. So
well, we're mentioning a lot of culture around here, but look around this here. I just gonna ask you a question. It is possible that when you have access of this high selected school that they have highly computerized and have all the resources for teaching, while you are studying this open school here, that you probably do not have those resources that the teacher needs to be able to give a good education. Will this affect that our kids are going to college or not?
Before they needed that before they got there.
Correct.
And we don't have that. You know, I'm not saying the sacrifices.
Talk to the mic, please.
I'm not saying the sacrifices, but our parents, our 36 and 46, they get absolutely everything they need. Before computers, they had. How many of you all had encyclopedias in your houses? Yeah. Well, amen to that one. Okay, now can I ask? Let me just say, you know, and that may be the case. But was it a new one? But what I'm saying is that representation right there, they had access to all of this. We had to go to the library. Somebody had to take us to the library or stuff like that. So all the stuff that is needed to get to not just that one, but even our HBCs, our historical black colleges, they expect the same thing, but if you don't have it to build on a foundation, you're not going to be able to do that.
Rodney, please. And at this time, we're going to take one from the audience.
Going back to what you said about the Asian percentage and the ratio being higher, in the Asian countries, they tend to go to school longer than we do in America, and they're more, you know, they're advanced in technology, and they're also more strict in education-wise, because in foreign countries, some schools, they're enforced to, you know, hit children and do, you know, others, like give them other punishments, which will be a factor in success.
Amen.
I want to say one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
But one good thing is for like the postgraduate degrees, we lead that. Like the Nigerians, they're higher than the Asians when it comes to like doctorates. Like we lead that category, so that's something that is a good thing. But that's again a different culture. It's not American. They haven't had to deal with a lot of the things that, you know, straight black Americans have had to deal with over the years. So that's one good thing I could say is that we lead the country in postgraduate degrees.
The 10-second add-on is that you also got to consider too that the categories where you see the higher percentages, they're not worrying about dodging bullets every day. They're not worrying about what they're going to get their next meal. When you consider the black category, these are things that it gets right back to the social economic indicators. When you look at how every single day is a struggle, so the struggle for life precedes a struggle for education. Well, and so we kind of find those things. In addition to that, and this is not, you know, to say there are some great single-family homes. I'm sitting next to someone who I love, and I tell all the time, you're doing a great job as a single parent. But at the same time, when you look at these other categories, the white Asians and so forth, you're talking about, for the most part, 72 to 80-something% of dual parents. And with that, you also have, in terms of, you have a single-parent household, you have one income. You have a two-parent household, generally you have, two incomes. So you have the ability to make sure the availability happens for these kind of things, right, as opposed to being at a disadvantage with one income.
All right, we're going to take one from the audience. I want to put this in your mind before we go there. Criminal justice system inequality. Black and Hispanic student is talking about youth of color. Black and Hispanic students represent more than 70% of those involved in a school-related arrest or referrals to law enforcement. Currently, African Americans make up 2/5 and Hispanics 1/5 of confined youth today. Talk to me about it.
There's a whole lot, but I think it's without trying to get too deep or lose my train of thought. Way back with something that Ms. Buchart said about in the very beginning, we started at the lowest totem pole and all that kind of stuff. Black families they had a mother and a father in the home. When slavery started and all of that kind of stuff, they would humiliate the wife in front of the husband, and what the minister was speaking of today, how that played on the man in the mind and how he broke the family. So that's one thing. Now we don't have a family unit to where we can keep it together. But then the slide about the violence, it was kind of throwing me off because it said out of school suspension, and then in the paragraph, it was talking about murders. Well, I haven't heard of too many black people murdering kids in schools, so, I can't really say that statistical track that was up there is correct, or it could be correct, but maybe the paragraph didn't go with the slide. I don't know. I'm trying to keep that together, but the issue that I think it comes along with a whole lot of different things. I'm beginning to get more and more like Malcolm X these days. I don't think we should have integrated schools to begin with. I think that at this particular point in time, now that we have so much integration and we have blacks that want to be a part of the whites, and women want to do what men can do and all that kind of stuff, it kind of gets muddled, and then I think we've lost our way. There are so many different things, and he touched on it with the shooting in the neighborhoods. We have so many of our kids that live in situations where, because I deal with it too with working for the state, they're not concerned with school. Their main concern is walking down the street, making it to their home, or making it to the bus stop. Take, for instance, the young girl that got body slammed by Officer Slam. This child is sitting in the classroom, although, like, there was other points that she said, sometimes the same color or gender or whatever may make an effect. I would have never had to call administration for a phone in my class. Not me. Because when I talk to my students in my class and I say, put your phone away the first time, and it doesn't happen, that's fine. I'm going to take the phone. Now, you can try to take the phone from me. I tell all of my kids, just like I tell them whether they're in church or they're my own, if you touch me, I will touch you back. Now, whatever force you feel you want to provide, that's what you're going to get in return. So now, when you have those types of conversations with your students in your classroom, and you set the tone in your classroom, no, because the kids, the problem is that we've given too much power to these kids. Number one, that's number one. Number two, my issue is that, the kids, oh, you can't do that. Well, what makes you think you can touch me? So you have to be able to stand in a classroom with kids that are younger than you and demand that you have that respect in your classroom. And you have to learn how to deal with the emotional distress that these kids go through. You have to learn to understand that they're coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, and the blacks, we have always been on the bottom, and we always have to fight to, like the young man said, we have to do more. Having 2 degrees means nothing. Right. I have a master's, it means nothing. So now it's like, are you getting your doctorate? No, I'm not. I'm just going to continue doing what I have to do in order to get to where I want to be. But that's because of how society has set it up. We had a black market, Wall Street. They burned it down. They took it from us. So it's every time we try to get and move our people forward, it's always somebody there to push us 30, 40 feet behind.
Okay, we have heard the problem. Now the question is, what can we do about it? Willie, can you comment into the criminal justice system inequality? Go down there, please.
Well, one of the things, and you say we're live? I'm just kidding. One of the things, of course, is that when we privatize, and I'm trying to do this very quickly because of time, is when we privatized the penal system, then of course what we did, we created a system where we have this inequality take place. Because one of the things that happens now, because it's privatized, in order for companies like, in order for companies to make money, beds have to be filled. Y'all missed that. In order to make money, beds have to be filled within the prisons. When it was a public holding, that was when the state ran the penal systems, and we're only going to put people who deserve to be in prisons. When it privatized, and all of a sudden, for every bed I have now vacant, I don't make money, so we're going to put the beds. So it all works together hand in hand. One of the things, and I share this, and I'll do it real quick. I was watching a movie, Beyond the Gates, and and this goes to the question. And one of the most poignant moments in that movie was when this British journalist, priest, was asking her after, and this was about the Rwanda genocide, and one survivor told the story. He was like, "Well, why don't you get this? Why don't you get this out to the world? The world needs to know what's happening." And so she sat for a minute, and she said this, and it was the most telling moment in the movie, and we can make an application for this as well. She said, "You know what? Because when I look at them, I don't see my mother. I don't see my grandmother. If they looked like me, I probably would have done something." Because we don't look like them. They do something, but what they do is the wrong thing. We get incarcerated at a much higher rate. Right? We have a situation, and I don't care that we're live right now. We have a situation where our previous state attorney, used to call him lynch man. If somebody walked through, you'd be sitting in court. A white person would have committed an offense. Right? They go home, with their parents. Another black child come along, did a lesser offense to get 10 years in jail. So it's not an indication of one race being worse than another race. It's a matter of a systematic racism that exists that influences the way that we go about meting out punishment in our judicial system. That's the truth.
Something is happening. These statistics are kind of, actually, right now, it's not 1 in 4. It is 1 in 3. In 3 of our young black or men of color, it will end up in jail. So it's about just right now, ask who is around you, and then ask him, where will I see you next time? Because we don't know. Sister Francis, Brother Davis. We don't have too much time. We have like 3 minutes, so please keep it shortly.
Well, it's really not the one I want to respond to, but I will respond to that. We want to look at the foundation. It's a conspiracy by certain elements in our society. I'm speaking mainly now about Western society, and it's multifaceted. They keep certain races, and we're talking about black, Afro-American, Hispanic, down, and they use the social economic tool. And all of us here are aware of that. When we are able to make advances because we are better educated, we get more education and achieve better money-making skills, the others look, it's a conspiracy. Money, social, you can't win whenever the cards, the deck is stacked against you.
Yes.
A professor used to tell me, I was taking a computer electronics class.
Keep it short, my brother.
They who have the goal make the rules.
Amen. This is just touching the surfaces. We have issues that we can talk, for example, obesity in our young childs. We have shifting economic. What is it? What is it that in the statistics of 2013, 2014, put the black and Hispanic in the 40 or 30% overall poverty rate in our society? What is it? That teen birth rate has been declining in all groups, but is still high in black and Hispanic. What is it? That there is so much religious apathy in these days. And there is any hope? The question is, where is our hope? In what we trust so we can deal with this situation? Unaffiliated make up a growing share across generation. And if you see in the younger millennials will be 36%, 2014, they just don't even believe in God. So what is our hope? What are we called to do in situation like this? We're going to leave that as an open question that we all need to think about it, and maybe we just need to extend this debate for another day. Right now, we're just going to call. We're going to call for an offering. Let's make an applause for our panelists, and thank you for your participation and your share. Thank you for all your comments. Very important today, in the days of today. I'm going to call my men's chorale around here, so while they are taking the offering, we can sing a song. So please come around here. Okay? Let's talk.